Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. In today's video, let's get out the Hondajet once again and let's have a look what changed in the past couple of months. It's actually been 3 months since I've flown it, and according to the developers Discord, there has been quite some changes. So let's go ahead and see what these are all about. By the way, I apologize for not announcing my stream any earlier. This was really a more or less spontaneous decision to actually make the stream at all. So, once again, I'm sorry for that. But I figured, better late than never. Never, right? Alright, so, the Hondajet. I'm sure some of you are actually going to remember it from some of my previous streams at the time where I just about started streaming. And just in case you're wondering why there has been a little bit of silence over the past couple of days, I've had so much flying to do, and then yesterday and today I just need a little bit of time off. But here we are, finally, about time to do another flight. So here we are, right back into the cockpit of our Hondajet. I really have to say something, that is, if we're looking at the cockpit like this, then it looks a little bit strange, like everything looks a little bit wide and I don't know, it looks a little bit strange. However, I have tried to actually load it up in virtual reality. I can tell you this thing looks spot on. I have been in a real Hondajet once and this is exactly what it looks like. So, I don't know, gotta be interesting geometrics or whatever there.
Oral warning. Okay.
So let's fire up the jet and see that we get along. I've planned a flight from Bremen in northern Germany to Prague, and then we'll fly on towards Munich. There should be air traffic control online at every one of those airports, and Prague and Munich actually have an event today. Or rather, both of them have their standard online days, but for me that is an event.
System test. Okay.
Alrighty, so we have the Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra today, which actually is a non-existing registration, so this is a fictional one that I came up with. I had to think of something, and there is only a single Hondajet in real life in Germany, and that one hasn't flown since a while, so that's why I figured I might as well just take a fictional registration and see where we go from there. So we are actually fully loaded today, and one of the new features in Hondajet is that we actually have passengers available in our cabin now. So whenever we load them in our load manager, we actually see the passengers in the cabin inside the aircraft. Wonder if you can load a passenger back here. I guess I don't want to find out. Alright, so let's go straight back to where it matters. Another really cool new feature is that you can call your checklist up with joystick buttons now. So if I'm pressing the key like this on my joystick, then I can now navigate through the checklists on here. And that is something I really like. Even though, when I'm holding the key to go back to the status page, it still loses connectivity every now and then, so it seems like this feature is not quite perfect yet. However, nonetheless, I do find this quite an interesting development, and I'm hoping that they are going to continue into this way. So according to our flight plan, we need 1,500 pounds of fuel, so let's load up 1,600, that should be all we need. System test, here we go. I'm still loving the fact that it automatically can run most of those pre-flight checks. They are sometimes so annoying in the 737, so really good to see those handling themselves. And hi Ivan, nice to see you over here as well. Right, so let's enter our routing then. Going from Bremen to LKPR, Praha, Rosinj Airport. They are going to use runway 27 here in Bremen. The wind is something 290 at 3 knots or so. So we'll probably have the Gesto 1 Lima arrival. Departure, yep. We have it. Then, flight plan. From Gesto, it's Zulu 870 towards Bravo Kilo Delta. Lima 619 to Python. Zulu 998 Oscar. Mike 748, Hotel Delta Oscar. Mike 725, Gola. Right, and for the arrival, we're planning on 2-4, so Golop 3 Sierra. Let's quickly put that in as well, together with the approach. Golop 3 Sierra, that's leading us towards Erasu. Okay, we'll load that and the approach, so ILS 24 from Erasu load. Right, perfect. That is what we need down here. Pre-flight checks here are done. Let's go to the weight and fuel page. I'm simply going to get that from the simulator. Just like this, and just like this, and reset the fuel used as well. And the takeoff speeds, you can do those automatically, so that's it done. Gotta love the Hondajet for its simplicity, right? And for the ability to show charts, of course. But it's getting rather late, so let's take the night charts. And our departure, we said it's going to be the Gesto 1 Lima, which we have over here. Initial climb clearance 4,000 feet. Like this. Alright, that's pretty much our setup done. So let's go ahead and start our checklist then. Actually almost, because we can still do this. Nav 1, Nav 2, we want our wind option 3, AOA can go onto auto, and active nav source is going to be the FMS. Perfect, that's looking better. And we can grab our go-around mode. The speed can already go to 140 knots, that's going to be our initial climb speed. Like this. Alright, so time for the checklist. So, before starting engines checklist, battery on, oxygen checked on and normal, pressurization normal, electrical on and normal, ELT normal, nose wheel steering normal, landing gear down, alternate gear release handle, it's stowed, park and brake, set, flaps, retracted, thrust levers, cut off, speed brake, retracted, ice protection, it's down here, normal and off, fuel panel, normal, trim panel is checked and set and normal, windshield heat panel, normal, pneumatic panel, normal, glare shield panel, dark, chime, normal, and avionics initialization complete. Before starting engines checklist complete. I'm probably gonna say that a couple times today. I gotta love the simplicity of the Hondajet. And hello, Josh Foxtrot and Key Dash. Nice to see you over here. Alright, so with everything set and done, let's get our IFR clearance. I do at the moment have a couple of problems with my model matching, so if we hear that vPilot ding every now and then, that's what I mean, then that's because some models might not load entirely correctly. So I do apologize for that in advance. However, eventually, I'm sure we'll get there today. Alright, so 123.925, let's call up radar and get our clearance. Frame radar, hello, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra at Bremen, info Charlie, request startup. Now comes the question, is he gonna find us?
Last station at Bremen.
Bremen, hello, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra in Bremen, information Delta, request startup.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, Bremen, hello, information Delta, correct, startup approved, clear Prague, guest to 1 Lima departure, flight plan route, climb 4,000 feet, squawk 1,000.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, startup approved, clear Prague, guest to 1 Lima departure, climb 4,000 feet, squawk 1,000.
Delta Charlie Sierra, lead back, correct. Break, Lufthansa 1 Romeo Charlie.
Alright, so we have 4,000 feet, squawk 1,000,
Takeoff runway 27 left,
and we have the guest to 1 Lima departure, which is what we have in the FMC as well. Alright, very cool. Then let's go ahead, some options, we'll close our doors, and we can get rid of the ground power as well. By the way, this is where a couple new options came in as well. We can now add static elements, cabin window shades, and we can control the ground power customly, and we have the option to add 3D passengers. And we also have a QR code to open the manual in here. Now that is something that I see for the very first time in Flight Simulator. Alrighty. So that's in, transponder on. Lights and everything still fully automated in this aircraft. All that I'm quickly going to check for is to turn on the seatbelt signs. But if we wanted to check, for example, for the lighting, we're going to see that they're all set to normal in here, which is basically an automatic position. Alright, very good. Then last thing. What I really like to do is to set the main display unit up like this, and then I am adding an additional map window. We can, by the way, get rid of the VSD for our climb, take that to decent zoom, then half the display, and on the other side I'm getting up my departure chart for the guest to 1 Lima departure. So now basically my setup is done so that on the left side I have an ND, and on the right side I have the SID chart for when I need it. And with a click of a button over here, if I'm going full, I can have my taxi chart available up here. So that's my preferred setup of the G3000 here. Alright. So that's it, we have our startup clearance. Let's run the starting engines checklist. Passenger briefing complete, rudder pedals adjusted, seats and seatbelts adjusted and secure, doors. Let's check the doors real quick. Here we see it, all closed. Oh. Park and brake. Oh, I pressed a couple of wrong buttons. Here we go. That's where I want to be. Park and brake, set, CAS messages. What do we have there? They are reviewed. Voltages, now we gotta go to the system panel once again. And electrical, we have 25 volts up here. Right, so ready for engine starts. We have gotten our start clearance, so fuel lever into idle, start button, and the rest of it is going to be fully automatic. Did I mention already that I love the simplicity of the Hondajet? And hello Hank and Cloud Action. Welcome. Right, good start number 2. Let's start engine number 1. Flight director's not entirely sure what it's supposed to do there. Well, that doesn't matter, that happens. Well, it shouldn't, but apparently it does. Alright, we have 2 good starts. Let's continue with the checklist. Engine starts checked. And engine instruments checked. Engine anti-ice off. External power disconnected. Flight controls. Green, correct. Starting engine checks complete before taxi checklist. Wing anti-ice off. Transponder code entered. Flight ID confirmed. Flight plan entered. Navigation source set. Altimeters 1011 set. Flaps set for takeoff. Speed brakes. Checks and retracted. Cabin signs on. Parking brake to be released. Let's request taxi. Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, request taxi.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, taxi to holding point runway 27 via Golf, Foxtrot and Echo.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, taxi holding point runway 27 via Golf, Foxtrot, Echo. Okay, so Golf, Foxtrot, Echo, that is straight out, left turn, Foxtrot, and the second from the end. Okay, that's understood. So parking brake is off. And that's the before taxi checklist complete. So, off we go. Clear on the left and clear on the right. Cloud the action. How do I rate the latest Hondajet update? Well, that's what we want to find out in this video, so that's going to be the final feedback after our flights. Obviously, I have already done 3 sectors with it today, but on those sectors, if I'm totally honest, I did not really sit in front of my computer, but instead I had to tidy up and everything. So, take it from there. Okay, taxi checklist. Brakes checked, northwest steering checked, flight instruments checked, taxi checks complete. Let's quickly talk about our takeoff briefing then. This is going to be a left seat takeoff in runway 27. Flaps in the takeoff position, noise abatement procedure 2, initial climb 4,000 feet. We are on the departure frequency already. Sit straight out left turn, and EO sit straight ahead, climbing 3,000 feet. Any questions? No? Okay, then we'll start with the before takeoff checklist. Flaps, set for takeoff. Trims, set for takeoff. Speed brake, retracted. CAS messages, reviewed. We only have the cabin power off. We can turn that on in a second. Navigation, set. Flight guidance, set. Takeoff landing data, confirmed. Takeoff briefing, complete. Radar, off. Ice protection, off. Before takeoff checklist complete. Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, ready for departure.
Lufthansa Romeo Charlie, Kleinflighter Betrieb on 0 plus direct Galma.
Kleinflighter Betrieb on 0 direct Galma, Lufthansa Romeo Charlie.
Station Brimfeld.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, ready for departure.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, wind 360 degrees 2 knots, runway 27 clear for takeoff.
Runway 27 clear for takeoff, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra. Okay.
Contract 420, proceed direct Farbro, Whiskey Romeo Bravo. Danke,
So,
Bravo.
transponder on, and that's pretty much all we need to do. The rest of it, the airplane is going to do fully automatic. Okay, clear on the left. And clear on the right. By the way, in case some of you are wondering why I'm all of a sudden flying out of Bremen, I found this scenery on Marketplace like a couple of weeks ago, and I really like it. Because it is an airport that I solely missed beforehand, and all of a sudden I have it. Okay, so, timing. That's new as well, by the way. Previously it didn't have a timer. So let's go. Takeoff thrust set indications normal. 80 knots. V1. Rotate. You're up. Positive rates. Your damper is coming on automatically. I believe that's also new, but it is correct. Alright, navigation, vertical speed, give me 2000 feet a minute, and autopilot on. Flaps retract. After takeoff checklist. Landing gear up, yaw damper engaged, flaps up, thrust levers. Okay, max continuous set, flight guidance set, ice protection set, cabin signs on, after takeoff checklist complete.
Okay, Roger, then yeah, just continue descent flight level 110.
Canal 6 Bravo Charlie, hello. Inbound Maren, flight level 30.
Alright, speed 210. Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, passing 2400.
Delta Lima Charlie Sierra identified, climb initially flight level 100.
Climb flight level 100, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. Okay, set, 100 checked.
Request 1 minute out of control.
Still an interesting looking plane with the engines on top of the wings, isn't it? Okay, set standard. And climb checklist. Pressurization. That's done here, 2.5, climbing, and set. Altimeters, standard. Auto Charlie Sierra, direct Ebung, climb flight level 270. Okay, let's do the direct first, and the climb second. Ebung, direct, activate. And climb flight level 270 set. That 270 checked. Okay, and the climb checklist is also complete. Next up is the cruise checks. So normally the Hondajet is designed to climb at a speed of 210 knots and on conversion Mach 0.57. However, from a couple of real-life Hondajet videos I saw on YouTube, they said that when they're flying in a busy airspace, they'll often go 250 knots as well in the climb. So I tried that today. The jet climbs fairly well. So let's just about do the same, go 250 knots. That should get us to Prague a little bit faster, so that we can actually do our second sector today with ATC on that as well. Also, we don't need the chart anymore, so let's go to the full display over here. Random, hello there. And Manuel as well. And both of you, I agree, nice plane, it is indeed. At the moment of the business jets available, not taking the BBJ into account, I would say this is probably the best there is. Most certainly the checklist system is really nice, now that we have key bindings available for it. Also note that with one of the recent updates, they have added the key bindings for the entire autopilot system, and for those of you using SPUT Next or Axis A's and O's, you actually have the variables for all the other buttons on the flight deck available as well now. So you can basically bind everything you have to your hardware. And I do get to really appreciate that possibility now, because I have put aside my Thrustmaster Boeing Yoke at the moment, and I went back to the Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS. So now, since I have all those lovely buttons available, I thought, hey, I might as well just make use of it. So I've just assigned a lot of stuff on my joystick. Like, moving around on the flight deck is now something I'm doing with my stick. Then I have a button specifically for the Hondajet for the yaw damper to turn it on and off whenever I need to. Because you need to turn that on just after takeoff if it doesn't come on automatically, and then turn it off manually just before landing. And I didn't want to reach out to my mouse in order to hit the button on the, well, what's the autopilot panel called, like in the Hondajet? I use Boeing phraseology, sorry for that, on the MCP. And then on my other buttons I have something to look around, because obviously the Thrustmaster HOTAS is made to be used with the right hand, which normally I'd use to handle my mouse. So I've assigned buttons to look around, I've assigned a button that just gives me a straightforward view. Then of course the top right button I'm using to navigate in the checklist, like this. So I can do all of that lovely stuff with buttons on my joystick as well now. So that is kind of cool, I have to say. I mean, I absolutely admit it started when I saw Top Gun. It continued when I saw it a second time. And since the movie came to the home cinemas now, since I actually bought it, I'm probably using the Warthog a little bit. So, my apologies for that. And Stefan, what do you think of Track IR? I tried Track IR a couple of years ago, but it wasn't particularly for me. It's nice that you can look around by just moving your head, but the problem is that you have this unnatural feeling in it that you still have to keep your eyes focused on the same point on the screen. And personally I'm getting headaches from that, so I don't know, it's not for me. But I did try it, but yeah, wasn't all too good.
13225 für Lufthansa Bonn Charlie. Danke, tolle Performance.
Okay. What's that? Master caution. Ice detected. Okay, but it's putting the anti-icing on automatically. We can quickly turn the engine anti-icing on as well. By the way, it does seem like my headset just turned itself off. So if ATC is saying something to me, then I'm probably not hearing it right now. So give me a second. I'll quickly have to search for the cable to charge it. Oh boy, as always this happens at the wrong time. Stand by. Okay, charger is in. Alright, now I hear something again. That's good. Once we've reached cruising altitude, I need to tell you guys a story. Because something very similar just happened to me on my last days flying the actual Boeing 737. Like the real one. I've just had a radio problem on my last couple of days. Neo, how did you learn to fly this jet? Grandon, what YouTube tutorials? Well, normally I'm the guy making the tutorials. No, honestly. One moment. 133 is Munana 50, Delta Charlie Sierra, bye bye. So, 13395. Fast reach, good evening, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, passing level 225, climbing 270 in Mount Nebel. Climb flight level 410, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. Okay, here we go, all the way up to 410. Delta Charlie Sierra, direct hands off. Okay, set, 410 tracked. And direct, ignore that desynchronization bullshit. So, direct, Hotel Delta Oscar, activate. So, that is quite a shortcut. I like this. Oh yes, I really like this. This is a very good shortcut. So for those of you who are wondering about the speed I'm climbing at, I'm changing to a little high-speed schedule here of 250 knots and 0.6 on conversion. Now that is what a couple of real-life Hondajet pilots said on one of their videos demonstrating the plane. What they are using if they are flying in crowded airspace in the vicinity of airliners, because they don't want to hold anyone up. So they are just going faster than Honda themselves recommends. Alright, here we go. Alright, so... Then, Neo and Random, to get back to the question of how I learned to fly the Hondajet. If you Google for Hondajet AFM and Hondajet POH, that's the aeroplane flight manual and the pilot's operating handbook. And, engine MPIs off. Oh, it's still picking something up, that's interesting. Because they're just this very tiny layer. Well, then we'll turn it back on. Yeah, so I just googled for the pilot's operating handbook and the airplane flight manual, and you can actually find the fully approved current documents on the FAA website for download. So that's how I got the official Hondajet manuals. And in there you have chapter 4 of the manual, which is the normal procedures section, and from there on I'm learning how to fly the plane. So yeah, just Google for it and you are going to find me. Then, Ale, what's the busiest situation you've flown to in real life? Yeah, that must have been around 2018, before they introduced CPDLC in the London TMA. Back then, London was a complete mess. Whenever you flew over there, sometimes it took 5 or 6 minutes until you found a free spot to check in on the frequency. And then people were talking constantly. It was one constant talk. There was no way you could get a request through to the controllers. Even when you had to ask for descent, sometimes you came only through like 5 minutes to that. So yeah, that was probably my busiest experience. Now of course, when you are, for example, going into Palma de Mallorca in the morning, so around 8 o'clock, when all the early morning flights arrive from all over Europe, that's really busy as well. Then Frankfurt is also one of those airports. I've flown to Frankfurt a couple of times as well, and man, the controllers there are good. They are really good. But they take all maneuverability away from you, so they give you an airspeed, a vertical speed, and a heading. So basically, you cannot do anything anymore as a pilot, because they give it all to you. They are taking total control of your aircraft and tell you every single parameter. The only decision you have to make as a pilot is, do I have to pull the ATC lever, also known as the speed brake, in order to slow the plane down or not. Apart from that, they are taking total control of you. And then, often enough, they keep you at 300 knots, down to 3,000 feet, to vector you onto the ILS. And then at 15 miles, they let you slow down. Well, random. Is it possible to assign the autopilot control directly through Microsoft Flight Simulator? Yes, you can. The details are included in the Hondajet manual. By the way, the same goes for the 737. The 737 is also programmed to be able to reach the standard Microsoft Flight Simulator commands. So you can assign everything through the standard MSFS, and the aircraft is going to be able to understand it when you press the controls. Apart from that, by the way, talking about particularly busy frequencies, I do have to say that in the recent days you don't really get to know anymore how busy it is, because ever since CPDLC became mandatory in 2020, ever since then you cannot really know anymore how much the controller is actually doing, because they are doing the vast amount of messages via data link now, and not by voice anymore. So it might be that you're on a frequency that seems almost silent, except for people checking in every now and then, but the air traffic controller might be fully loaded, but simply handling everything via CPDLC. And Stefan, does it happen often that ATC gives so many instructions in Germany? How is it in Berlin? Yeah, it does happen very often. It does happen very, very often. So it is pretty normal in Germany that you get... by the way, it's still saying ice detected. That's interesting. Temperature is minus 53 right now, so below minus 40 there shouldn't be any icing anymore. Anyway, can we actually see any ice? No. Okay, that's it. So, that's pretty much that. Yeah, random. SMS revolution all over again. Oh yes. However, it is a very good thing, because previously it was 133.225, Delta Charlie Sierra, tschüss. 133.225. München, guten Abend, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, passing 356, climbing 410 inbound Hotel Delta Oscar.
Delta India Lima and Charlie Sierra, no radar contact at the moment. We check for you.
Delta India Lima, Charlie Sierra, roger, we are on the radio 303150 miles from Hotel Delta Oscar.
Okay, yeah, sir, you are 8 nautical miles away from my airspace, so I didn't see you on spot. Identified now, continue flight level 410.
Roger, climb flight level 410, Delta India Lima, Charlie Sierra. I see. So there is probably one sector currently not online on VATSIM, and the previous sector just gave me a handover over the Unicom airspace to the next controller. They sometimes do that. I find it nice that you don't have to go to Unicom. Then, Ufran, hi, nice to see you here. And yeah, the page looks a bit like a phone. But then again, we're talking about Garmin avionics here. The Garmin avionics are basically designed for, yeah, I don't want to say for people not flying every day, but it's a different philosophy, but it is one that works pretty well. So everyone I've talked to that's operating the real G3000 and G5000 units, actually even the G1000 units, they are really happy with them. So obviously Garmin is doing something very, very right. Then, Stefan, just to get back to you, regarding instructions in Germany. Yeah, overall in German airspace it happens very often that you get an airspeed, a vertical speed, and they vector you anyway. So, contrary to what we see on VATSIM where they clear you for stars and stuff, that usually doesn't happen in Germany. They just take you on a heading and maybe send you direct to a waypoint or something and then take you on a heading. But you don't really get stars or anything in Germany. In Frankfurt, yes, there they sometimes clear you for the stars as well as in Munich, because the stars basically bring you in a downwind and then they're going to vector you from there. Neo, why isn't there any ice formation on the PMDG, and will weather radar ever be available? Weather radar is going to be evaluated as soon as the software update 10 is out, which is going to provide an API. So with SU10, third-party developers will be available to access the weather data at all. Prior to that, it's not possible for them to access weather. And yeah, once the SU10 is out, PMDG is going to evaluate it and eventually going to include it. And then, why don't you see ice on the 737? Yeah, don't expect to actually see ice like you do, for example, on the DC-6 or on some default aircraft. That's not how it looks like in the 737. When you get icing, the first indication of it is that the wipers will start to pick up some ice, and that is actually simulated in the PMDG. So the wipers can ice up, that is your indication that you're in icing conditions. However, the layers of ice that you are going to pick up on the airplane, they are so small that from any decent outside view you are not going to be able to see anything, because it's literally only going to be a couple centimeters on the leading edges, even though that can have a very detrimental effect on flight characteristics. But yeah, it's only going to be small layers on the leading edges, and that's pretty much it. So don't expect to see like huge amounts of icing. The whole airframe is far too streamlined for large areas of ice to build up on it. No, Fran, nothing new on the EFB that wouldn't be published yet. So overall, as far as I'm aware, it's supposed to go into beta testing like mid this month or so, and then they're hoping for a release later this month. But as always, these things are a little bit flexible. You know Flight Simulator development by now. Then, Cloud Action. Could you fly the approach with the autopilot disengaged and rate how the Hondajet behaves during during changing flap configuration? Yeah, I can certainly do that if it's not too busy. However, I do have to say that it will be not too easy to actually judge. It won't be too easy to actually judge how that's going to look like, because I just don't have practical experience on a Hondajet. I did recently fly an Airbus full flight simulator. Oh, what's it doing now? Pitching around a little bit. I did recently fly an Airbus full flight simulator, and that was really interesting experience. I'm going to do a video on the Phoenix Airbus, how it compares to the full flight simulator, but already now many people say that I am unfair with Phoenix, and that since I'm a PMDG tech team member, everything I do would be propaganda, and I have a feeling that that is only going to be further aggravated once my video on the comparison between the Airbus full flight sim and the Phoenix is out. So I can tell you already there is a huge difference in manual flight handling and in the engines. Right, so let's put something decent into the flight plan here. First restriction we have there is Papa Romeo 531. Let's have a look at some of the charts. Chart data fail, of course. Here we are. Golop 3 Sierra, that should be it. So for Golop, if we're looking, roughly Romeo 24 is here. So we are looking at least 30 miles. I believe if we plan Golop at, let's say 11,000 feet, then we should get a good profile.
On the radar, 6 minutes to the top of the set, very good. 618, try to flight level 240 and going to the top.
Alright, so before I'm actually starting with all the setup, let's get ourselves the ATIS. So, ATIS frequency 122.16. So probably 1.5 on that sometime. Let's see.
Direct to Volvo, CSA 618.
Okay, voice 8 is not working, that's too bad. Text 8 is however, ILS 24 in use, transition level 60. Visibility 10 kilometers or more, view 3,300. Okay. So easy going with the weather, ILS approach to 4 it is. 109.1. Make that active on both sides. And then that's it already. Okay. Minimum's 1358. That's something that the Hondajet had added after release as well. Previously it was not possible to set the minimums in this aircraft. But they've fixed that, they've added it. Now we have our minimums display as well. I mean, they had to, let's be honest here. The aircraft without minimums, that's a no-no. Also, never forget, we do have a cruise checklist here. So altimeters, altitude set, certain systems monitor, cruise checks complete. Not sure why it's acting up on the icing here. I really don't see any reason why it should have ice right now. Let's just turn it all on for a second. See if we can get rid of it. Because of the previous 3 sectors I did, it didn't have this problem. Okay, in the meantime we continue with our setup. So the approach starts at 9 miles at the Fox India in 4,000. What do we have on the FMC now? Yeah, Fox India 4,000, very good. The previous ones, we'll just remove the restrictions. Very nice. Okay. So that's basically it. Now comes my typical setup once again. So we'll put the airport chart up here. which we will need for taxi. And then let's put the Mac back up, half it, and we'll take the approach chart over here. So call up 3 Sierra. Like this. And we are closing our top of descent so we can also pull the VSD up. Here we are. Last thing is in the performance speed box.
Kayak 625.
All on. Under 13 knots final approach speed.
Turning left, turning 160 for Kayak 65.
So, quick approach briefing covering the most important things. It's going to be the ILF approach runway 24. Frequencies are 109.1, set active on both sides. Approach starting at 4,000. This approach is straight ahead and climbing. And we're going to vacate the runway to the left and then all the way straight ahead to the end. And that's about it already.
Turn left heading to 5, CFA 618.
No, heading left by 20 degrees. Just 20 degrees to the left.
To the left, 20 degrees, CFA 618.
Thanks a lot.
CFA 618, no problem.
618 in your 1 o'clock range is now 5.5. The kayak 625 on flight level 300.
Then Aaron, any suggestion on how to fly Team E-Arc in the 737? Yeah, I might cover that in a future video. In the meantime,
Kayak 65, traffic just passed on the right hand side.
I'll just quickly get our descent clearance here.
Thanks. Back to Marvin, please.
And now back to Barnet. Okay, 65.
Say 618, proceed direct to Boeing. Direct Boeing.
Direct
Come on,
Volvo,
please.
CSA 618.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, request descent.
Delta Charlie Sierra, descent level 370.
Descent level 370, Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, so that's 370 is checked. Do it with vertical speed here. 3,000 initially.
017, can we give cockpit for maximum 2 minutes? Yeah, sure. Call me back, please. Okay, yeah, good, thank you.
Small comment here on the flight model of the Hondajet. From the airplane flight manual that I downloaded, there have been some charts for both long-range cruise and maximum speed cruise, and even with maximum continuous thrust set at the high flight levels, it seems that the simulated Hondajet is not able to reach the speeds that the real Hondajet reaches, so it usually flies a tiny bit slower than the real one. However, the fuel flow with maximum continuous thrust is pretty much spot on. Now, I don't know how the real Hondajet is actually flown in cruise, if you just set it to max continuous thrust and then it just blasts at the maximum speed that it can get, or if that is actually done different. But it looks a little bit interesting, put it that way, to fly with max continuous thrust all the time. I might just have to do a little bit more research there and watch a couple more videos to see how that actually looks like. So we have one to go. Flightera, am I going to try out X-Plane 12? Eventually, but not right now. Reason is that at the moment X-Plane 12 is still in early access, and if I'm totally honest with you, I don't think it will be able to hold it up against Microsoft Flight Simulator anyway, so I want to give it a little bit time until it is officially released before I'm actually going to look into it. Alright, so 370. When is he going to clear us further down? Now, Delta Charlie Sierra descent flight level 200. The VNAV profile can be a little bit erratic initially when you start your descent. So right now it says we need... Now it's stabilized at about 2,000 feet a minute. Let's see what happens if I hit the VNAV button now. Oh, then it starts to dive down. Probably trying to catch up this profile here that we're currently 2,000 feet above.
Thank you very much for your
Let's see, idle thrust, can it hold its speed? Yeah, it actually does. Maintaining maximum speed now. Diving down to catch up with the path over here. It's interesting how the vertical speed required just changed over here to 5,500, while previously it used to be stable at 9,000. Sorry, at 2,000. So looks like the vertical speed required there is, I don't know, not 100% reliable yet. Right, here we are catching back up with our path. Let's see what's going to happen. Pretty aggressive pitching there. If you pitch an aircraft this quick while you are flying at 430 knots ground speed we are right now, so maybe around, make that 400 and a bit true airspeed. Yeah, roughly 400 knots true airspeed. If you pitch this quickly, we're going to cause some huge G-forces with that. And if we look at the VNAV profile again now, we're going to notice that now the vertical speed required has changed again to 2,500. So it seems like this is actually what VNAV is commanding to the autopilot. While, from my system's understanding, it should actually be the vertical speed required in order to make the waypoint goal up at 11,000 feet, as I've entered in my FMC. So, from my understanding, this vertical speed required should be the vertical speed from my present position at my present speed to make this waypoint at this altitude. But it seems like this is behaving a little bit different in the simulated Hondajet. Then again, don't quote me on this, I might very well be mistaken here as well. Simon, what is my opinion on the troubles Boeing has with the FAA getting the MAX 10 on the market? Yeah, that is interesting troubles. That is interesting troubles.
Level 1 and 9 and 0 level at Amsterdam.
Charlie Sierra descent level 1 minus 0 level Amsterdam. Okay, so let's put that in. Probably gonna put us rather low in profile. 190. Oh, it's not too bad actually. Pretty similar to the profile that we calculated earlier on ourselves. Oh no, don't climb. Please start your descent now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, while the aircraft tries to find its way back into the VNAV path, let's quickly run our descent checklist. In an easy YouTuber attempt to try to make you miss the issues, as some people say. So, descent checklist, landing field elevation, 1,175 feet. Engine anti-ice is still required and on. Altimeters, we are going to set those at the transition altitude. By the way, what you guys just heard me say, that is actually something of a discussion that I've had on one of my videos with somebody who said that you YouTubers, you are just looking away from all the bugs so that people can't see the actual bugs, so they actually only get to see the positive aspects of the aircraft. Oh, believe me. If I had the time to actually think about stuff like this, then believe me, then I wouldn't need to work as a pilot anymore, then I could do this full time. But no, I don't have the time to even think about that. It was really interesting what kind of conspiracy theories some people come up with. 118 ist 0375, Delta Charlie Sierra, tschüss. Good evening, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, passing level 230, descending 190, inbound Hotel Delta Oscar.
Delta Charlie Sierra, hello, Prague radar identified, descent to flight level 170, cleared Golf 3 Sierra, arrival runway 24.
Descent flight level 170, cleared Golf 3 Sierra, arrival runway 24, Delta Charlie Sierra.
Kayak 625,
Set. 170 checked.
level 250 to level at Vesu.
When ready, will descend to flight
Yeah, so Simon, my opinion on the Max 10 certification. Yeah, it is a little bit problematic there, but Boeing just has to get their stuff up now and get the thing out on the market. It remains the fact that the 737 certification is far behind modern day standards. So I can understand that eventually the authorities might say, yeah, guys, this is no longer up to today's standards. I've actually had a chat with the Boeing chief pilot on that particular topic, and he said as well that Boeing aren't very happy about the whole way that the legal requirements are laid out for aircraft certification and warning systems. So he says that Boeing would actually like to come up with some totally new ways of presenting failures and warnings to the pilots. However, since certification at the moment is so rigidly with the laws, and they say exactly how an ICAS has to work, and basically the certification legally tells the manufacturer at the moment exactly what the final aircraft has to look like, and Boeing is not very happy with that. They would like to experiment with new ways of presenting more function to pilots and new ways how to deal with these things, but it's actually not possible at the moment with the laws that we currently have.
Delta Charlie Sierra, proceed direct Papa Romeo 517, descent to flight level 130.
Delta Charlie Sierra, direct Papa Romeo Alpha 817, descent flight level 130.
Just for confirmation, Papa Romeo 517, confirm.
Papa Romeo 517, Delta Charlie Sierra.
Correct, thank you.
Find that anywhere here?
Prague control, good evening, cargo look to Charlie with 25 level 350.
No, don't have that. Okay. That is unfortunate because based on my experience, if I'm entering it now, Papa Romeo 517, enter, direct, activate.
You will get 300 from a München radar and 133 575,
133.575,
So where is that actually? 127.575, Charlie Sierra, bye bye. 127.575. So that's probably going to be the touch controller, I guess. radar, good evening. Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, descending flight level 10 in my Papa Romeo 517.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, good evening. Radar identified descent flight level 100. Correction, yes, flight level 100. Proceed direct Papa Romeo 531.
Descent flight level 100, direct Papa Romeo 531, Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, that's something I like more. So, Papa Romeo 531 direct release. We have enough guidance available again. Well, it's stuck with the same 2,000 feet a minute that we had earlier on. 1,000 foot below the profile. Okay. Look at that. Got him! Finally, Prague Airport. I'd love to see you to fly to Prague in future with a 737. I might. Actually, Prague has been the very first airport that I flew to with a 737 in real life. It was my first flight going to Prague. I don't know what's wrong with this ice detector over here, but we definitely don't have ice right now. Actually, I'm going to turn this stuff off. Maybe it's going to reset itself, I don't know. There's certainly absolutely no reason why there should be ice on the airplane right now. And I don't know why it's doing it on a live stream either. It didn't do it on 3 previous sectors today. Oh well, you can't have it all, I guess. You can't have it all. Let's experiment with VNAV once more. Right now it says we need 1,500 foot a minute, which we have. So if I now put it on, then it's bullshitting. Oh, you are not supposed to do that. Back to the aspector. But here comes our VNAV path.
Delta Charlie Sierra descent flight level 70.
Delta Charlie Sierra descent flight level 70. Set. 70 checked. So if I'm carefully flying it into this path now, let's just try that until we get a vertical deviation of 0. And I'll put on VNAV once again. Basically now. Yeah, now it's following the path once again. That's good. Let's get the speed back up to 50 knots. One feature that I always find interesting about those business jets is that you basically never descend in idle thrust. You always have a little bit of thrust on. And it actually needs that thrust in order to produce sufficient bleed air to pressurize the cabin. But I find it strange, I have to say. As a line pilot, all I'm thinking here is fuel and wasting fuel.
Charlie Sierra descent altitude 4,000 feet, QNH 1014, and via Papa Romeo 531, clear direct approach runway 4, expect speed 160 knots at 5 on approach fix.
Delta Charlie Sierra, descend 4,000 feet, QNH 1014 via Papa Romeo 531, cleared ILS before, expect 160 knots, after final approach fix. Okay, so set 1014, passing 8,400, descending 4,000, no flag standby set, approach checklist. So let's complete the descent checklist first. Altimeters 1014 set, descent check is complete, approach checklist. Seats and signs adjusted, secure, passive briefing complete, cabin signs on, avionics set, running data is set and confirmed, cast messages checked, approach briefing complete, standing by for the flaps. Oh, that's a nice little dive there. I don't know what missed it over this time. Probably something in the flight plan. Ah, it reinserted those altitude restrictions. Okay. VNAV is gone, vertical speed, and 1000. You can see our glide slope coming active here already, so there's no need to rush anything.
Radar, Airline
Alright,
256.
first idle, let's start reducing our speed. The flight manual tells us 180 knots over the intermediate approach fix, so might as well just bring the speed back now. Nicely flying into our glide slope here.
Flight level 160 and
So let's see, only 500 feet a minute is going to do for now. So, turning final, I will wait until we are actually on the final approach course, then I am going to put the nav source to nav 1 and arm the localizer. Right, heading, nav 1, and approach. Localizer capture, glide slope capture. Let's see how good it tracks the localizer and glide slope this time. They have done a little bit of work on that with a recent update. I do remember the first version we tested on my channel had serious issues holding the localizer. So let's see if this has become any better now. But it seems like it. Okay, they said expect the FAF at 160, so let's get the flaps out in one. In the takeoff approach setting, I should say. And complete the approach checklist. Flaps, takeoff approach checks complete. Can get out the ILS chart 24, which tells us this approach altitude is 4,000 feet.
Number Charlie Sierra, speed 160 knots, still 4 miles, correction still 4 mile final, and contact through the tower on 134, this is 550 line.
167 knots until 4 miles, and tower on 134, this will 55, Delta Charlie Sierra, bye bye.
And Alliance 256, contact Prague, radar on frequency 118 distance.
Brazilian target, evening, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, ILS 24, 160 until 4 miles.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, near Tower, good evening, runway 24, clear to land, wind 170 degrees, 6 miles.
Runway 24, clear to land, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra. Right, so I promised that I would hand fly the last bit of the approach and tell you what I think on the effect when extending the flaps, so let's do that now. At the same time, let's see how good the flight director actually is. We'll try to follow the flight director closely here. And in many flight simulator aircraft, I actually feel that the flight director is not very good. Let's see how it is in here. 4 miles, gear down. And speed target 113, I believe.
2000.
Yeah, that 2000 call was definitely not correct. And flaps to the landing position. It has a little bit of a ballooning effect here, but I would not call that unrealistic per se. It definitely has some ballooning, but I wouldn't say that that is necessarily unrealistic.
1000.
I know, for example, the Airbus has some very extreme ballooning as well, that is not comparable to the Phoenix, by the way. So, yeah, that's not necessarily unrealistic. Okay, landing checks. Landing gear down, speed brake retracted, flaps, landing, airspeed, VREV, autopilot yaw damper, off, or disengaged, as the one near it here. Before landing checks complete.
$500.
500 continue.
$500. 400. 300. 200. Minimums.
Continue. Is it just me, or is this a very steep 43-degree approach?
100.
I'll go a little bit below the slope here.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
There we are. Speed brake up.
Excellent landing, sir.
Oh, thank you. Alright, and this is our exit. So, I'll omit that landing checklist here. Delta Charlie Sierra, runway vacated.
Delta India, Lima Charlie Sierra, contact ground 11.9, bye bye.
11.9, Delta India, Lima Charlie Sierra, bye.
QNH 1016 off and Mike Charlie.
QNH 1014.
1014 off and Mike Charlie.
Mr. Mike Charlie, repeat correct.
Good evening, Delta India, Lima Charlie Sierra, runway vacated. Now he's probably searching what type of aircraft is this? Where am I going to park him? We should be parking us up here on the south apron. Good evening, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, taxiway Charlie, runway vacated.
Stand by, please.
Yeah, stand by. He's probably searching where to park us. Well, if I'm totally fair...
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, losing ground. Hello, taxiway Golf runway 12, Romeo, stand Sierra 26.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, taxi via Golf, Romeo 12, Romeo, stand Sierra 26.
Negative, Golf runway 12, Romeo, stand Sierra 26.
Okay, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, Golf, runway 12, Romeo, stand Sierra 26.
Correct.
That's what I said in first place. Oh well. So we go straight ahead, then to the right onto taxiway Golf via the runway. So Lima is probably closed over there, I guess. So Golf is to the right hand side. Take a small shortcut here. This line is definitely made for bigger aircraft. So here is Golf. Then onto runway 12, we are clear to enter. Okay, and then all the way to Romeo. So, after landing checklist, cabin signs, off, engine ATIs, off, speed brake, retracted, flaps, up, trims, setting the green band after landing checklist complete. And Romeo is not the next one, but the one thereafter.
Tyler gonna send 7 Tango with information. Oscar request clearance to VNA if possible out of runway 12.
Then 7 Tango Rusnia Tower Hello, unable to clear you from runway 12 due to runway 12 is closed.
Tango Roger, just request out of runway 24 please.
7 Tango, information Oscar current QNH 1014, time 04, Bird to Vienna, Božice 3 Alpha departure, runway 24, climb initial altitude 5000 feet, clock 1000.
Off station, Survey ground is closing, contact Rusnia Tower 134, 550.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, go ahead.
I just got the message to contact you since ground was closing.
FM continue to stand Sierra 26.
Sierra 26. Okay, so Romeo's to the right then. Yeah, don't just say all stations contacts if you don't want all stations to contact. So, Sierra 26. Why is there no markings on here? Oh, I hate that. I totally hate that when there is nothing drawn on the ground. So now we gotta stop and look for the taxi chart. So, other apron, that seems to be it. Sierra 26 is the next to the right. Okay, that's easy. Even I can do that. Even though it would probably have been over there, where there is that longitude parking there. So we're probably on Sierra 25 here. Sorry for that. Alright, here we are. So, shutdown checks, parking brake set, wheel chocks installed, engine anti-ice.
Rusnia Tower, good evening, November 335.
Off, external power, off,
Lima
thrust levers.
Sierra 6 Alpha, request started.
Cut off, cabin signs.
Number 335 Lima Rusnia Tower Hello, startup approved.
Start approved, November 335.
Off, oxygen supply. Pull off, parking brake. Release, and we'll keep the battery on. Shutdown checks complete. That leads us back to the before starting engines checklist. And you know what? We'll actually set that parking brake again, because that means we can get our ground power. So, ground power is on. Right everyone, welcome to Prague. So, hope you enjoyed this flight, but don't quite head off yet. We will be going on towards Munich. So, just quickly going over the comments. Steve, I fully agree, the pitching under VNAV looks very aggressive, and that is definitely... Let's put it that way. If the real aircraft was that aggressive, which I don't know for certain because I'm not a Hondajet pilot, then I'm very sure it would not really sell. Because people would just be puking all over the place. But that's just my humble opinion. So... yeah. Then, Pedro, is it normal for ATC in real life to give 5 instructions in a single transmission like now, or do they split it up? Well, to be totally honest,
November 335 Lima.
They normally don't let themselves get into situations where they would have to give these instructions at all. So, in real life it typically wouldn't be a problem in the first place. So, a flight to Munich will take 2 passengers. That's all we'll need. Let's file the off block for 25. That gives us ample time. Heiko, thanks for the information we got in the microphone. I turned it down a little bit. Let me know how it is in the comments now. Because I just changed the microphone settings a little bit, so let me know how it is now. Then, cloud action. Check what is happening when you change the flaps from up to approach and from takeoff to up. Okay, gotta do that on the next flight. At least from approach to landing wasn't too bad now. So that felt alright. Definitely some ballooning there, but that can happen. Ufran, I'm honest, GA aircraft sometimes taxi faster than commercial aircraft. Yeah, that definitely happens. I mean, they don't have operational flight data monitoring, so yeah, they can go a little bit faster without any consequences for them, let's put it that way. We often see business jets operating right on the red line as well, just because nothing can happen. Well, nothing can happen in terms of they can't get problems with anyone.
Throttle 255.
Revo. Then again, there's always Southwest. Oh yes. And Manuel, yep, all the documentation is included on the designer's Discord. But then again, I can very much recommend you just to Google for the Hondajet AFM and the Hondajet POH. And you are going to find the original aircraft documents from the FAA website. So then you can learn it with the real airplane flight manual and the real pilot's operating handbook as well. Makes things even a little bit nicer, doesn't it? That's how I learned it, for sure. Or rather, how I am learning it, because I would in no way claim that I would be a very good Hondajet pilot at the moment. The landing was alright, but the passengers would probably be fairly unhappy after all the pitching around. So, there's room for improvement, as always. So, let's head right back into the Hondajet and let's do that stuff again. So, quickly transponder 2000 in standby. So, load manager, this time we'll take only 2 passengers. And do note that the Hondajet is certified for single pilot operations, so we are going to do that. And one thing that I quickly want to check before we actually head off is the fuel used, 800 pounds. Okay. I still have my flight plan anywhere? No, of course not. Unfortunate, because I wanted to check the difference between SimReef usage and simulator usage, because I have a feeling that SimReef needs a very strong bias to match the simulator Hondajet figures. Anyway, so into the load manager, we need 1,200 pounds. Let's take a bit extra because we are going to Munich, and Munich is always busy. Let's make it 1,500 once again. So you do your pre-flight tests. In the meantime, I do the flight plan programming. So options, delete, yes. Origin, echo. Oh no, we are still in Prague, not in Munich yet. So from Prague to Munich. And it's gonna be runway 24 once again, so probably the Doben 3 Alpha departure then. Oh yes, just one waypoint, that looks good. I can fly that. I can fly that. And direct Mergo. And Tango 108 Landu. Alright, that's an easy route. And then we are basically there already. Landu. And finally they say Landu 2 Alpha arrival in here, but probably rather gonna be the Landu transition. So runway Munich. Weather over there 103, so probably runway 8 right, I hope. And Landu. Yeah, that looks like what we want to do. Very good, so pre-flight tests complete, weight and fuel, reset fuel used, we have 2 passengers, very good, takeoff speeds are in, and finally minimums can go.
Minimums.
Off and timer reset. Alright, perfect. So that's basically our setup complete. Reset the flight director as well. Nav source definitely FMS. And that's almost it. So please give me my chart. Visual climb clearance 5,000. Very good, that's it. Setup complete. So let's do the checklist then. Before starting engines, checklist. Battery on, oxygen checked on and normal, pressurization normal, electrical on and normal, ELT normal, nose wheel steering normal, landing gear down, alternate gear release handle, in, park and brake set, flaps up, thrust levers, shut off, speed brake, retracted, ice protection, normal and off, fuel panel normal, trim panel normal, windshield heat panel normal, pneumatics panel normal, glass shield panel, dark, chime normal, avionic initialization complete. Before starting engine checklist complete. Alrighty. So now that we have this part complete, let's get our clearance.
I'm taking a request pushback and we're able for straight pushback.
Strana Sun Tango, žlutý snake, straight pushback and start up and pushback approved.
Start push approved, straight pushback also sending.
Fine, 43 Uniform Alpha, ready to copy clearance.
Go ahead, 40 Uniform.
Alpine further uniform Alpha information Papa current QNH1014 time 18 clears to Amsterdam bow 24 Alpha departure runway 24 climb initial altitude 5000 feet or 1000.
Clear departure runway 24 bow 24 Alpha initial climb 5000 squawk 1000 Alpine 43 uniform Alpha.
Alpine 43 uniform Alpha reback correct.
Within the tower, good evening again, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, information Papa, request clearance to Munich.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra Hello again, information Papa current QNH1014 time 18 clears to München via the band 3 Alpha departure runway 24 climb initial altitude 5000 feet squawk 1000.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, QNH 1014, terminate, cleared to Munich, Doben 3 Alpha departure, runway 24, climb 5000 feet, squawk 1000.
Delta Charlie Sierra, reback correct, startup approved.
Startup approved, Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, so climb 5000,
Lima Lima, would you like us to hold short Bravo still?
squawk 1000, and we'll turn the transponder on.
Sorry, continue taxi.
Continue taxi, November 335 Lima Lima.
So, close the doors, Grandpa can go as well. The departure is what we want, so... Over here we'll take the airport chart again.
Golf November, welcome to Prague, taxi via Foxtrot Golf stand 55.
And then on here the Doben 3 Alpha departure.
Taxi via Foxtrot Golf stand 55, customer Munich.
Very good, that's it.
Thank you.
Only thing I have to check real quick. Contact radar immediately after takeoff. Alright. So that's 127,575.
Tango taxi to holding point runway.
Alright, very good.
Hotel Bravo.
Hotel Bravo holding point 24, Austrian, sending it.
So then let's go ahead and starting engines checklist. Passenger briefing complete, rudder pedals adjusted, seats and seatbelts adjusted, secure, doors. Uppsala. Yep, doors closed. And park and brake. Set CAS messages. What do we have there? Reviewed electrical voltage.
9 Mike Charlie, taxi to holding point runway 24.
It's greater than 23.5. And time for our startup. So, thrust lever idle, engine start button push. And the engine start itself is all automatic once again. Did I mention already that this is a pretty nice feature?
Takeoff after departure, contact Prague radar 127.575.
24 clear for takeoff after departure 127.575, November 335 Lima Lima, bye bye.
Alright, and engine number 1. Alright, gives us 2 good starts, engine instruments checked, engine anti-ice off, external power disconnect, flight controls free and correct, before taxi checklist, wing anti-ice, normal, transponder code entered, flight ID confirmed, flight plan entered, navigation source FMS, altimeters 1014, give me 1210. Flaps. Set and takeoff, speed brakes. Checked, retracted, cabin signs are gonna come on right now. And park and brake to be released. Delta Charlie Sierra, request taxi.
Delta Charlie Sierra, taxi to holding point runway 24 via Romeo, runway 30, Golf Bravo.
Delta Charlie Sierra, taxi holding point runway 24 by Romeo, runway 30, Golf and Bravo. Okay, so out to the right, Romeo, 30, Golf, and then Bravo is basically straight ahead.
7 Tango,
Okay.
wind 170 degrees 6
Brake
knots,
released
runway
before taxi
24,
checklist
clear for
complete.
takeoff,
Taxi
after
checklist
departure,
itself
Prague, 127.575.
will complete as well in a second.
Takeoff after departure 127.575, Austrian, 7 takeoff, over.
That is what I want. Thanks. Okay, so straight out and to the right hand side.
Papa go through near lower hold, standby for clearance, brake. Austrian Mike Charlie behind departing Airbus A320, line up runway 24 and wait behind.
Right, departing company aircraft, land up and wait behind and runway 24.
So, taxi checks. Brakes check, local steering check, flight instruments checked. Taxi checks are complete. I'll just about take a shortcut here over the gates because there is just nobody around here. Interesting. On the chart it looked like I could actually just taxi out via Quebec, but when I actually taxied here, it more looked like I would need a pushback out of the gates. Oh well, happens.
Pushing towards the Chair, QM 624, stand 23, information Papa requesting air maintenance to Amsterdam.
Oh, looks like we're going to have a very nice sunset departure here.
Time 25, clear to Amsterdam, Balbo for Alpha departure, runway 24, climb finish altitude 5000 feet, scope 1000.
Clear to Amsterdam, Weber 24, Alpha departure, runway 24, initial climb 5000, scope 1000, KLM 624.
KLM 624, I read that correct.
Cutting some corners here on the taxi lines, I shouldn't do that, no.
Austrian 9 Mike Charlie, wind 170 degrees 6 knots, runway 24, clear for takeoff after departure, Prague, 127.575.
Clear for takeoff, runway 24, after takeoff, radar 127.575.
Okay, we are clear to enter runway 30. So we can do with a right hand turnover. And now we'll go all the way straight ahead towards Golf.
Summer Alpine 43 uniform, and Charlie 26.
Point 43 uniform Alpha, squawk on, start up and pushback approved.
And Golf.
Squawk with Charlie.
And I guess Hotel Juliet Bravo. Golf here, which is in high-speed exit, so we can actually take it at 45 knots, which is very nice. So, from Golf, straight over the apron into Bravo. Somebody's missing that extra on the left there. Anyway, before takeoff checks. Flaps, set for takeoff, trims. Ooh. Also set for takeoff, speed brake retracted, CAS messages reviewed. And navigation set, flight guidance set, takeoff landing data, confirmed, takeoff briefing. So, left seat takeoff from a 2-4, flaps in the takeoff position, noise abatement 2. And here's Bravo.
Delta, India Lima Charlie Sierra, wind 170 degrees 6 knots, runway 24, clear for takeoff, after departure, Prague, radar 127.575.
After departure, 127.575 from a 2-4, clear for takeoff, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, bye bye. Okay, map and departure chart. 127.575. So everything is prepared. Okay, takeoff speeds are 107, 113, 120. EOS at straight at 4000. Normal departure straight at 5000. When airborne departure frequency. Radar off, ice protection off. Before takeoff checklist complete. And we are ready. So, timing. Come on. There we are. So takeoff thrust. And yes, guys, this is about as quick as it gets. And also, yes, in real life I would probably have taken things a little bit slower. 80 knots. E1. Rotate. You're up. Flaps up, state mode function. That is transponder mode. Okay, TA only. So, flaps are retracted, and to be honest, I found it good. I found it definitely good. Linear radar, good evening, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, 2500 from the 5000, Durban 3 Alpha.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, good evening again, Prague radar identified, and flight level 160.
Flight level 160, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra.
November 36 Bravo Whiskey, maintain speed 160.
Okay, level change, autopilot, and your damper.
550.
November 36 Bravo Whiskey, maintain 160 and contact tower 134.750.
Negative 134.550.
So set, 160 checked.
164.550.
Set standard. Off the takeoff checklist.
And Oscar Mike Charlie, contact
engage,
radar,
flaps, up, thrust levers, max continuous, flight guidance, on, ice protection, off, cabin signs, on for now. After takeoff checks complete, holding at
Delta
speed,
Charlie
time
Sierra,
checklist.
proceed direct, near go.
Delta Charlie Sierra, direct, near go. So, flight plan. Here go. Correct. Insert.
747 Charlie,
And we don't
descend
need
to
to
flight
sit chart
level
anymore,
10.
so full view. Right, so climb checklist. Pressurization 3.8, climbing, checked, altimeters, standard, climb checklist complete. By the way, you might notice that the checklists, when I'm running through them on the second sector here, by default are showing all green, with the exception of the shutdown checklist. That's still a bug in the current version, so that should hopefully be That should hopefully be improved with another future update. Battle Eye, will I try X-Plan 12 with Zebo or no?
Sierra contact Prague radar on frequency 118.375, safe flight, bye-bye.
118.375, Delta, Charlie Sierra, bye-bye. Radar, good evening, Delta in Lima, Charlie Sierra, passing level 127, climbing 160 in Yoke.
Delta, Charlie Sierra, hello, Prague radar, identified, climb flight level 300.
Flight level 300, Delta, Charlie Sierra. Okay, and here starts the scrolling once again.
Delta, Charlie Sierra, expect to level flight level 250 at Nirgo, so if you can't make it 300 earlier, just say 50, okay?
Delta, Charlie Sierra, roger. In that case, we'll make 250 our final flight level.
Roger.
Okay. So 250 it is then for the cruise.
November 335.
It's a little unfortunate, but if that's what ATC wants, then that's what ATC wants.
133.575, November 335, Lima, right.
But yeah, if we look at this, the time to level 300 would have been like 5 minutes, and it's only 7 minutes until Nirgo, so it would have been up and directly down again. So 250 is going to be the final flight level now. Right, we can let our passengers go. By the way, something I really like on the Hondajet is the simplicity of the cockpit. So you can see that when we're looking around in the cockpit here, there are hardly any switches. And the reason is that many of them are actually moved onto here. So over here, if I in the menus, I can switch on everything, like the football light, the seatbelt light, the floodlights, which are called overhead lights in this one, but are the same thing as floodlights. So that is quite nice. Overall, the Hondajet is a very nice plane. I mean, it still has issues, even 3 months after release, but nonetheless, it is a fun plane to fly, and they are actively working on it, improving it. So overall, I believe it costs 25 euros at the moment, and for that price, it's definitely a very nice thing to fly. Something else we could quickly do here. Select the control. Let's turn these down a bit. Maybe a tiny bit brighter. Yep, that looks good. Cloud action. Wasn't there a need for an aggressive trim nose down after setting the flaps up? Not an aggressive one, a slight one, but that could be realistic. Then Metal Eye. Will I try X-Plane 12 with the Zebo? Once it's out of early access, probably. Because right now the early access seems to have quite some bugs, and to be honest, I already have one simulator that has quite some bugs on my computer. Yes, I'm talking about Microsoft Flight Sim. So I'm not too keen for another one. Okay, vertical speed, 2 to go.
Radar, good evening,
So yeah, I have to say that one buggy simulator at a time is enough. And at least from all the reports I'm reading at the moment, X-Plane 12 is pretty buggy. That's probably the reason why they released it in early access and not just at the full release. But that's speculation on my side, of course. Vertical speed 1000. So yeah, I will probably try it eventually, but yeah, that's all I can say about it at the moment.
35 to Foxtrot, proceed direct Papa Romeo 530.
Yeah, cloud action, I fully agree. The Hondajet is a nice plane, but it's far from perfect, that's definitely true. I mean, for 25 euros I wouldn't expect something like the PMDGs or like the Mad Dog or so. So I think for the price point and for what is advertised, it is doing a pretty good job. Let's see how fast we can get it. Can it do 265 here?
3105 with X. With that Nordic.
And cruise level. Let's see how fast it's going to accelerate now.
Sorry, do you copy Qatar 52 Foxtrot?
35 to Foxtrot, when ready, descend to flight level 170, and now proceed direct Papa Romeo 530.
Okay, sorry, when ready, flight level 170, direct Papa Romeo 530.
Neptune 444, when ready, descend to reach flight level 250 over Brexit.
Heiko, can you give me an update on the audio? How is it now? I just turned it down a little bit more, so I don't know how far I am from reaching the point where I'm no longer understandable, especially with ATC talking in the background. So, keep me updated on that, guys. Alright, so cruise speed control is on. Cruise checklist, altimeter altitude, set, systems, monitor, cruise checklist complete. Well, let's actually have a look at our system displays here. Status page tells us status of the circuit breakers and the solid state relays. It also tells us the status of our exterior lights, which is quite an important piece of information in the Hondajet because they are fully automatic. You can see right now, taxi, landing, RAPAC and ice lights are off, by the way, no more icing. So I don't know what it's been on the last flight, but probably it's fixed itself.
Radar, schönen Abend, Air Bremen 7 Bravo, climbing 300.
Air Bremen 7 Bravo, hello, Prague radar, identified. 309 Mike Charlie, contact beam radar, 134.675.
Hydraulics, park and brake, oxygen quantity, engine fire bottle, and of course our doors. That's the status page. Then we have the environmental page where we have cabin and cockpit, target and actual temperatures. We have the status of our fans and the manifold pressure.
Prague radar, vision 129x7. Flight level 360.
From there on, we have the electrical, which is pretty similar, pretty easy system, I have to say. We have our batteries, we have our generators, and from there, basically, power is going straight to the different buses. So, if you compare that to the 737, then, yep, this is definitely quite a bit easier. Fuel page. Full quantity, 1,200 pounds, spread over the wing tanks with a tiny bit in the center. 132.550 Delta, India Lima Charlie Sierra, bye bye.
Hold in 4460, then flight level 130.
München Radar, guten Abend, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, flight level 250 in Diego.
India Lima Charlie Sierra, München Radar lowered at default. The 1 Whiskey Lima, contact arrival 128.
And then here, of course, as well, our fuel pressures, fuel flows, and via fuel boost. So then, hydraulics page, just a single reservoir, and actually not too sure about the way this hydraulic system works, but to me it looks like it's a single hydraulic system with the brake accumulators isolated through check
negative
valves
330
there.
final for you today. This is a minor 73, contact arrival 128, decimal 025. Distance of 5 Mike Whiskey, speed 300 or greater,
And finally, we
descent
have
level
the ice
150.
protection system over here, which is currently enabled for the windshield heats and the probe heats, and the engine and wing APIs, and the tail end PIs is currently turned off. That's basically our system setup, the pages here on this airplane. Apart from that, we do have some system controls, so exterior lights here, as long as they're in the normal position, they are basically fully automatically controlled. However, we can control them manually. Delta Charlie Sierra speed 265.
Charlie Sierra, Roger, speed 260 knots.
260 knots, Delta Charlie Sierra. Yeah, gonna leave the speed as it is. Those few knots don't make any difference.
Transavia 40, correction. Transavia 401, München, radar low, identified, climb
Then
flight
on the
level
system controls, we have the interior lights, that's the page where we've just been on, where we have the seatbelts, smoking signs, for example here the footwell lights, the overhead lights, and stuff like that.
So 251, contact Langen radar.
And we have our thermostat. We can change the temperatures for both the cabin and the cockpit, and we can change if we want to control the fans manually or if they're controlled automatically. And of course our target temperatures. And finally, lighting control that we have over here is for the display brightness. So over here we can dim our displays overall. Apart from that, we have our performance pages over here. So we can already do our speed bumps basically. So that get from sim button here is very nice. Then it just imports the data from the simulator automatically, so you don't have to get out any charts or performance calculators. But it's simply doing that all by itself. So landing data is set now. On the VNAV page, we can choose if we want our vertical situation display over here, or if we want our standard flight plan page. Now, personally, we have a time to the top of descent here, 12 minutes to go, and I do have to say that in level flight I like the flight plan page over here, and then when we get to the descent I'm pulling up the vertical situation.
301 München, radar low identified, climb at level 310.
Apart from that, the utilities page is pretty much new. Over here we can enter our minimums, and we have our timer control as well. As that they didn't exist in the initial release of the Hondajet, they have just been added into the product now.
Delta Charlie Sierra descent level 150 at 2000 feet per minute.
Delta Charlie Sierra descent level 150, 2000 feet per minute.
Epsilon 444, 4 sequencing, turn left heading 160.
Start turning it down like this initially. VS 2000. Level 160.
Rainier 102, München radar low identified, climb at level 220.
As the controller set.
Helvetic 20, Hotel Oscar, descent at level 200.
Right, so time to do a little bit of approach preparation at
118 kilo, contact München radar 133.
Indicators, they are using runway 08 left and right. Open for 08 right here since the GA parking is on the south. H1013 covered, and what's the wind doing? 0903.
666,
Right, so
descent
easy
level
conditions
1,
for us.
correction, descent level 200. So the 666, turn left heading 08.
Quick look at our charts then. I'm hoping to land here runway 08 right. We could just vacate the first exit, taxi via Sierra, and the GA parking is over here in apron 7 and apron 8. And apron 6 I believe, so yeah, down to the south over here. That's why I'm hoping to park there for runway 08 right, would of course be the runway of choice for us. However, if they give us 8 left, Well, then we'll have to go a little bit
descent
later.
level 150 at 2000 feet per minute.
Unless they put us on the parking up here, which could be as well, apron 5. There is a general aviation parking up here as well, however,
19 Yankee, speed
as far as I'm
25,
aware,
descent level
we're
150.
usually getting the southern parking. So we're gonna keep this one up for the approach itself. ILS 8 right, we're hoping for the frequency of
level 25
1093.
uniform monitoring com.
I'll throw that active on both sides. For the missed approach, then we have HOTAS Prague 112.3 and Delta Mike Sierra 115.0.
We're just descending through level 2.
Like this. Enough data, F1, F2 is what we need. We don't need any we don't need any ADS for this one. And we are going down to a minimum of
Delta Charlie Sierra, proceed direct Landu.
Delta Charlie Sierra, direct Landu.
Radar, section with an arm and flight level 240.
Landu, direct.
66 München radar low identified, proceed direct Gisu.
So,
Proceeding directly.
1686 minimum.
Neptune
Put that
444,
in as
proceed direct
well.
Landu. Suda 5 Mike Whiskey, contact arrival 128, decimal 025.
Barometric minimum. Perfect.
Delta Charlie Sierra, contact arrival 128, decimal 025.
128 is with 025, Delta Charlie Sierra, true.
Neptune 444, speed 260 knots.
128.025.
The 5 Mike Whiskey Mission arrival identified information. Juliet, proceed direct Delta Mike 460 after Delta Mike 420, descent level 110.
Direct Delta Mike 426 and the next Delta is 50.
Lufthansa 5 Mike Whiskey out of Delta Mike 426 and Delta Mike 420.
426 and then 420 and flight level 100.
Negative 110 Lufthansa 5 Mike Whiskey.
110.
Genau. München Radar, guten Abend, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, descending flight level 160, 2000 feet per minute or greater, speed 260 knots, and not landing information, Juliet.
Charlie Sierra Mission arrival identified. Juliet correct, resume normal rate, proceed direct Delta Mike 426 after Delta Mike 420.
Normal rate, Delta Mike 426, thereafter 420, Delta Charlie Sierra.
Delta Charlie Sierra, when ready, descend to reach flight level 110 at Delta Mike 426.
When ready, descend level 110 at 426 at level Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, so if I need to guess, we don't have 426 in here. No, we don't. We can insert something in here as well, so we'll have to put it in here.
Lufthansa 5 Mike Whiskey 260 knots for later.
6, enter, direct, activate.
Lufthansa 5 Mike Whiskey, contact München, radar 123.97.
Perfect, so that's in, and we want 426.
Delta Charlie Sierra, contact München, radar 123.97.
123.9, Delta Charlie Sierra, servus. 11,000. Let's check top of descent in 2 minutes. München Radar, schon genannt, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra.
Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, München Servus, descent level 100.
Descent level 100, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. That much about our descent plan.
5 Mike Whiskey, München Servus, descent level 90.
Oh, vertical speed. According to note on the chart, they want at least 1,300 feet a minute over here in Munich, so let's do that. Also keep 260 knots. Note that we don't have auto throttle in this aircraft, so we just gotta do it manually, but Hondajet is a very nice plane. It reacts very nicely, so nothing to complain about there. Then cloud action. Autopilot off before setting approach flaps if possible. Yeah, I'll try my best. If it's too busy, then it will be hard. But if it's not too busy, then I will try. Okay. Metal Eye, I don't think there is any good citation time for Microsoft flights, so no, unfortunately not. And Lucas, can you ask where I'm from? Yeah, I'm originally from Oberhausen, but not living there anymore since I had to move to a different place for my airline. And Cloud Action, don't you like FLC? To be totally honest, I see no use in FLC at the moment in the particular situation in which we are flying. Because why should I descend quicker? You know, I'm trying to descend at the minimum rate of descent that is required. And according to the chart, they need at least 1,300 feet a minute here in Munich. So I have to descend at 1,300 feet a minute. But look at this, we still have to fly all the way around the airport, like this, and then come back over here. So we're looking at least at 50 nautical miles that we still have to fly. So why should I descend any quicker and get to a lower altitude? There's no sense in it. That's why I'm just descending at the minimum possible rate, and their vertical speed is definitely the mode of choice. In the meantime though, let's quickly run the descent checklist. Landing field elevation, verify set, engine anti-ice is off and all meters to go.
The 55 Whiskey descent 5,000 feet, QNH 10, question 6,000 feet, QNH 1013, speed 220 knots.
6,000 feet, QNH 1013 and
Mention radar, good evening, Air France Survey Charlie Papa 5000 to flight level 70, give me 6 Quebec.
Air France Survey Papa, mention identified camp to exit level 90.
But I'll put the plane in heading select right now because of the way that I had to set the microphone up.
Negative level 090.
Sorry, level
the moment it tries to sequence this, it's probably going to jerk out and try to fly somewhere, probably back to Landu. So let's actually do this. Activate leg to waypoint. Where is it going now? Nowhere. Oh yeah, it's a 420. Just not over there. Yeah, here we go. Now it's over. Tail Dynamic 420, direct 2, insert. That looks better. Update the direct once again.
Delta Charlie Sierra, speed 240 knots.
Delta Charlie Sierra, 240 knots. So we can definitely set our passengers down already.
Apple for formation levels. Air France 5 Edge climb unrestricted level 190.
Climb unrestricted at level 190.
Michael, yes, that would be much appreciated. Join my Discord.
Descent 6000, catch 1013, speed 220 knots.
Sierra descent 6000, km 1013, speed 220.
Medium speed 220.
Was it for us now or not? Or probably not, otherwise we would repeat it.
Delta Sierra contact director 18825. Cheers.
18825, Delta Charlie Sierra, tschüss.
Neptune 444, descent level 80.
18825. Director, good evening, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra.
Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. And the director of descent 5,000 feet and the runway 4, you got left or right?
Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, descent 5000, 08 right.
Roger, excellent.
Okay, 5000 set.
The 5 right whiskey turn left heading 150.
Heading 150.
So let's complete the descent checklist. Altimeters 103 set. Descent check is complete.
The 5 right whiskey, resume on speed.
So Heiko, if you can join my Discord and we can talk after the stream, that would be very much appreciated. Mr. Holy Rider, I have a question on PMDG. Could it be that the auto brakes have too little power? No, they are spot on. They are doing exactly what they are supposed to do.
Munich director 266, stand with an up.
266 into director, low. Which runway do you prefer? Runway 0 left or 0 right?
08 right for 266.
266, roger, expect to stop the descent initially at 6,000 feet.
Expecting 08 right, descending 6,000, 266.
Just in the 5 Mike whiskey, turn left heading 110, clear direct 0 right left.
Left heading 110, and clear direct
366, reduce speed 220 knots.
Reducing to 220 knots, 266.
Delta Charlie Sierra, turn left heading 230.
Delta Charlie Sierra, left heading 230. So, approach activated. Course 0801093. Frequency correct? Yes, it is. Perfect.
Delta Charlie Sierra, turn left heading 180.
Delta Charlie Sierra, left heading 180.
Just in the 5 Mike whiskey, turn
Not
power
checks.
118 to 70.
Seat and signs, just secured, passenger briefing complete, cabin signs are on, avionics set, landing data set, confirmed, pass messages checked, course briefing complete, holding at the flaps.
366, descend altitude 4,000 feet.
Standing 4,000 feet for 266.
366, turn right heading 035.
Turn right 035, 266.
Delta Charlie Sierra, turn left heading 110, clear left 0 right, speed 200, okay.
Charlie Sierra, left heading 110, clear left 0 right, speed 200, until how many dB?
Delta Charlie Sierra, so now speed 100, okay, I contact for the option in about 1.
Roger, we need to reduce 180 for gas rapid set, Delta Charlie Sierra.
Delta Charlie Sierra, roger, then make it speed 180, okay, for now.
180 okay, Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, speed 180. Well, let's see how the ILS interceptor is going to work out this time. Approach mode assigned. Let's try to give the controller as much of the speed he wants to, so we'll keep the speed at 200 for now, and when the glide comes in at 1 knot, we'll have to reduce. So localizer alive, localizer capture. Delta Charlie Sierra, we can give you 160 until 5 dB. 160 great until 5, Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, so autopilot off, as per request, flaps approach. The nose is coming down quite a bit. But then again, that might not necessarily be totally unrealistic. So complete the checks, flaps, takeoff approach. That's the approach checklist.
Charlie Sierra, Charlie Tower, 120.5, tschüss.
120.5, Delta Charlie Sierra, tschüss.
Left to triple 40 and left heading 1 1.
Speed reduction now. Maintain tower low, Delta November Charlie Sierra, ILS 083, 160 until 5.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, tower 7. Traffic time for 1 right left. 1 public state guide, mention traffic line up on the right left behind. Behind mention traffic line, wait on the right, right left 1 right.
I'm missing some hands here. I need an extra hand.
So it's a section, guten Abend on the left, right, 9 miles. 366, tower 7.
Under 10 for the final approach.
2000.
Delta Charlie Sierra, variable, variable, the right
The right land, Delta Charlie Sierra. Okay, flaps landing. Yep, here is the aircraft ballooning again.
The 5 might be located at Alpha 5.
God Emperor off and landing checklist. Landing gear, down, speed brakes, retracted. Flaps, landing, airspeed, VREV, and autopilot God Emperor off before landing checks complete. Check.
Betrieb Website, Command 38 on 5 miles, 5 right left side. Philosophie November.
400.
Wettkampffall danach verfolgt es auch schon. Der Charlie Sierra, nochmal, Yoke, Warthog, Locate via
300.
Locate via Prague.
Delta Charlie Sierra. Welcome. Yeah, no need to discuss it on short file.
200 minimums.
Check.
Looking November behind landing traffic light on runway 08 left behind.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5,
That landing was good.
Deep break up. So, Bravo 1-2 is still quite a while ahead, so... Oh, that's nice. They're using reduced runway separation correctly. So for those of you who don't know what that means, when it is clear that I'm going to vacate at a certain point, and I am past a certain distance down the runway, so in most cases 2,400 meters, then the successive aircraft can already be cleared to land and touch down on the runway. Once I'm at least 2,400 meters down the runway. The exact distances are going to be in the airport's relative approval, and are going to be different per airport. Okay, we are behind the line. So the big question now is where they are going to park us. Because the long rollout does definitely not meet the 1-to-1.815 confirmed, Delta Charlie Sierra.
Confirmed.
Roger. So, 1-to-1.815. And hello, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, runway vacated, Bravo 1-2. München Control, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. No? 1-to-1.815. München Ground, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. Nope, he's not talking to us.
Contacting ground on 1-to-1.815, is correct, 66? Correct.
Delta Lima Charlie Sierra, negative response on 1-to-1.815.
66. Delta Charlie Sierra, yeah, correct, 1-to-1.815.
He's not answering on that frequency.
Oh, sorry, it's 1-to-1.825, I'm sorry.
1-to-1.825, Roger, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. That is kinda expected. Because Watson doesn't support 8.33 kHz frequencies yet. Ground hello, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, Bravo 1-2.
Vacated at Bravo 1-0.
Two stations understood 266, so taxiing 308 via Tango Bravo 1-2.
Taxi 08 via Tango Bravo 1-2 for 266.
Station calling before second.
And hello, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, Bravo 1-2.
Delta Charlie Sierra, Servus ground, taxi 2 and 3 Sierra 4 via Sierra.
Sierra 4 via Sierra, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra. Just wondering, why did we get the long rollout then?
I have no idea, you have to ask Tower Controller.
Roger. Yep,
You
so...
prefer Apron 13?
No, we actually wanted to go to the southern, but he wanted us to vacate via Bravo 1-2. So are we going via Tango or via Sierra?
Via Sierra. I suppose he wanted you on Apron 13, but nevertheless, make a left turn here, Bravo 1-2 west, and then second left into Sierra.
Bravo 12 West, second left Sierra, Delta Lima Charlie Sierra. Bravo 12 West, that's where we are on, and then first left on the Sierra, entry Sierra 4.
München ground, good evening.
So we're taxiing all the way back.
Hello, München Airbus 112,
car?
ground taxi to holding point 08 left,
Yes, that is a
Alpha
car
2.
on the taxiway.
November and Alpha 2, holding point 08 left, München Airbus 102.
That's a fuel truck. Hello. Where are those guys coming from? Hello there.
Delta Charlie Sierra, revised clearance, taxi to enter Sierra 3 via Sierra.
Sierra 3 via Sierra, Delta Charlie Sierra.
München ground, schön am 2596, taxi.
We're hunting someone else there.
November 3.
Okay, after landing checklist. Cabin signs on,
The
engine
5
ATS
runner
off,
6
speed brakes
Airbus,
retracted,
München
flaps
ground,
up,
taxi to holding
trim.
point 08 left via November Alpha 2.
That's a pushback truck, hello.
Via November Alpha 2,
Checklist complete.
holding point 08 left of the
I think I know why those vehicles are on the aprons here. When the last SU-10 beta patch has been installed, my settings have been reset to default. I probably forgot to turn those off.
To the 3 Yankee Hotel, taxi to entry Sierra 8 via Tango Bravo 12.
Sierra 8 via Tango Bravo 12, what's up the 3 Yankee Hotel?
66, contact apron 1-1-7.
Apron 117, thank you very much, and up to 66.
Platoon 444, apron 1-1-775.
Apron 11775.
Well, Sierra 3 is the next to the right.
Aero 0554, and holding point Bravo 3, runway 08 right.
Terror 454, contact tower 120.5.
120.5, Aero 0554, thank you, bye bye.
Charlie Sierra, contact apron 1-1-775, good night.
11775, Delta Charlie Sierra, ebenso. A121-775.
Tango, taxi to entry Sierra 2 via Romeo.
Taxi to entry Sierra 3 via Romeo, Metro 5, Tango.
Apron, good evening, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra, Sierra 3.
Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra München apron, Servus, give way to the Neptune Boeing 737 on Romeo on your right hand side. Then taxi to apron 8, stand of choice via Romeo.
Number 2 behind the 737, and we are on the stand of choice on apron 8, Delta India Lima Charlie Sierra.
Lufthansa 1399, ready for taxi.
So let's see, apron 8 is the apron directly off to our right hand side.
Taxi to entry November 3 via Oscar 2, Delta 1.
Right, so let's
Taxi to
wait
November
for him
3
to pass.
via Oscar 2, Delta 1, Lufthansa 1399.
Apron Servus, Sierra Wings 9 Kilo Bravo 183 for pushback.
Sierra Wings 9 Kilo Bravo, pushback approved, face north, blue line.
Wings 9 Kilo Bravo, pushback approved, north on the blue line.
November 93, that's taxi to entry Sierra 73.
And there's the aircraft coming.
Blue Whiskey 2, November 93.
Correct.
Oh, let's go ahead.
On the apron, Swiss section, guten Abend.
Interesting
Standing at
737 though.
Swiss 66, München apron, Servus, give way to the Beechcraft Baron on Delta 3 correction, on Delta 3 blue line From your right,
He's got it as well this
taxi
evening.
3312
I'm not the only one who
via
can't speak proper English today. I'm happy to hear that.
Orange line, Echo 3 orange line.
Okay, so Apron 8 is off our right hand side, so let's head over.
Give way to the Baron on Delta Triple Line from my right side, then taxi 2 stand 312 via Oscar 2, Delta 3 orange.
And then we'll turn on stand, and then I'll have my feedback on the Hondajet and its improvements.
Lufthansa 1399, contact München ground on 121.975.
Somewhere to the right over here, there should be a marking, yeah, there is.
Contact ground on 121.975, Lufthansa 1399, danke, ciao, ciao.
Just over here.
Frank 99 and 171.
Last station calling with again.
Good evening, Kevin 99.
Very good, here we are.
171.
So, park and brake set, shutdown checks, park and brake set, new trucks stalled, engine anti-ice, off, external power off, thrust levers.
Captain 444, continue taxi.
Cut off, cabin signs.
Via Sierra 4, Romeo.
Off, oxygen supply, off, park and brake.
Net 5 Tango,
Be quiet, please.
ground 121.
Thank you, silence. Okay, park and brake released, and we'll switch the battery off in a second. Only thing I want to do real quick before that is main door open, cargo door open, front cargo door open, and we'll connect the ground power unit as well, which however is only going to show up when the brake is set. Okay, so battery off, and that's going to be the checklist complete, so here we are. Thank you very much again. So that's it, welcome to Munich. 2 more flights in the Hondajet successfully completed. Now, what do I think about the latest Hondajet update? If I'm totally honest, I like it. I like it very much indeed. So, they have made quite some progress in the last 3 months, certainly for it being a project of a single developer, if I'm not mistaken, or at least a single systems developer. So it does take quite a long time to develop many of those things. So it is. So I'm really happy about the amount of progress he made, and I'm really happy about the changes he made. There is more to come. That is already clear from the. Yeah, how do you call that in proper English? He's published his priority list and his bug tracker in a Google form, so that is available on his Discord. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and FlyJ Aviair. Hello to Las Vegas. Man, I'd love to be there now, but I'm not. I'm sitting in my lovely living room, waiting for my next couple of duty days, but still a few days off. Alright, so for now, do I recommend the Hondajet? Yes, I definitely do. You saw, especially on approach, that the navigation system is still the working title G3000, which has its issues, but you can try that out in the TBM or in the citation longitude and make up your own mind if you like that or not. But in my opinion, the Hondajet is still a recommendable aircraft. Now, what I do have to say at this point is that there has been an announcement for a Cessna Citation Mustang, which is using the Garmin G1000. So we'll have the NXI working on that one. So that's quite a bit more advanced, at least in terms of its realization in Flight Simulator. So I'm really looking forward to see the Mustang coming, especially since it has a similar performance to the Hondajet. Not quite as fast, not climbing as high. The Mustang only makes 41,000 feet, not 43,000. But nonetheless, really promising aircraft, and I am very much looking forward to that. For now, however, for the terms of this video, for the Hondajet, it definitely has my full recommendation. Nice little small aircraft. Now, if you can live with the G3000 as it is, and the pitch channel. I mean, we've seen that, we've talked about that. So, thank you everyone for joining. If you do want to support the channel, I would appreciate a subscription, and if you really love what I'm doing, a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description link below would be much appreciated. Thank you very much for joining, and I'm hoping to see you all again very soon.